intensified by the main powerful rank. So Zelensky called Moscow and made a peace deal with Putin, and Trump, instead of opening the Hormuz Strait with Iran, which they already opened, dug another one so that oil could flow continuously all over the world. These were the news from some wonderful far-off world, from a parallel reality, and Juan and I keep telling the truth in our unfortunate, sad reality. And things are a little different for me. Subscribe and let's go. If you haven't subscribed yet, you definitely need to do it. Look, they're telling us the following. First of all, they're going to start building up military production in Ukraine, which means there will be a sea of bombings. Secondly, the situation with water supply, energy supply, and basically any kind of supply in Ukraine is getting worse. Well, but apparently that's just the way it is. Fortunately, people understand what's happening and don't listen to those thousands of voices saying you need to go to the front, or that the draft office guys are great, or that you should hug each other more often. For example, here's hugs with draft office guys at one of the markets in Odessa. Here, one or even two were grabbed under a pallet. It was wonderful. And here there's a whole bunch of draft office guys at once. There's always a crowd of them running around fussing just like those guys from the barracks. They jump out, grab all the food, and run back inside. So what? These same guys started running around, grabbing people, shoved them into the bus, but got hit with a pallet. There's this wonderful shot somewhere here. And then they tried to run away, but it didn't work out. They were caught, everyone was freed, and these guys were sent packing completely. Naturally, I can't show this video because of YouTube's rules. They basically go against our desire to watch this in full. And you can't show bad words either, so please watch it on my channel. Subscribe. Well, actually, don't subscribe, just scan this QR code. Point your phone or tablet camera at it and scan it. Or use your phone if you're watching me. Then just click the link right here under the video and you'll go straight where you need to. And those in power keep telling us what to do with ordinary citizens who don't want to die, sitting there in a white shirt. Apparently this is already happening in Yalta, on the promenade with a cup of coffee in hand. Mikhailo Podolyak starts speaking in Russian, explaining why tormenting Ukrainians is a good thing. And he compares those who don't want to serve to murderers, repeat offenders who were given 20 years, in my opinion. That's wonderful. So let's watch from the beginning.
The word ukeliant is very interesting, yes. But in reality, it's a legal offense. It's a violation of specific laws.
Well, sitting right in front of us in a white shirt is this draft dodger who doesn't have 3 kids. And honestly, I don't even understand what position he holds in the government. A consultant and advisor, why are there advisors there? Advisors are needed at the front, those who can advise not just with words, but with actions. And yet another spokesperson in the office, not needed by the president or in Ukraine. What is all this for? Well, if you can't fight, go work, but he keeps talking about draft dodgers, about evaders.
And accordingly, this is a criminal offense, so his rights have already been violated.
So, Mikhail, do you really believe that if someone's bank account is frozen, it will somehow change their behavior? No.
There's just zero logic, absolutely none. What sets this very Mikhail Podolyak apart from everyone else is that he strings words together into fairly coherent phrases, but he reacts faster than he can understand what his reaction will lead to. So, what's the point, for example, of depriving those same people of their bank accounts or their right to drive a car? He himself says there's no point. Now he starts to twist things around. He starts to change his tune, do all sorts of flips in the air and twists with a flourish. So Juan Sombrero, well, you see what it has turned into.
So then why did A do it?
Do I believe a repeat offender who has committed 20 robberies will stop robbing after serving another 1.5 years in prison?
What does one thing have to do with the other? The journalist is doing a good job. Let's hear what she has to say.
Yes, exactly, just like that.
Although there is some logic to it, you lock someone up for 1.5 years and they won't rob anyone.
Right, usually they don't lock someone up for just 1.5 years, but for 5 or 10 years depending on the crime's severity. Podolyak has no idea how much harm he's causing. All he cares about is delivering the words Zelensky's 1,000 talking heads want spread around. He doesn't care about anything else. He doesn't need anything at all, except, first of all, his salary, let's put it that way. And second, it's to spread Zelensky's message to the masses, let's say. That's the logic.
if you close a bank account here, does that put him on the front line automatically?
Checkmate, Mishunya. Not everyone in general is able to listen to this nonsense they feed us every day without reacting. Here is a perfectly sane woman asking absolutely reasonable questions, and they're actually quite simple. Mikhailo Podolyak, he didn't even prepare for this. I mean, you could have expected to be asked such questions, but if you're so smart and slick, our guy manages to turn up everywhere. But prepare your answers. Try to think about what you might be asked. Especially since the journalist is sharp, you can't fool her easily. She's very, quick-witted.
He loses the function that allows him to feel comfortable in society. Just like a criminal who is caught committing an offense, he is put in jail. And accordingly, he can't enjoy living in this society. Well,
what nonsense is that? You were just told why a criminal is put in jail. Most often he is not put in jail so that he can't enjoy being in society, but so that he can't harm this very society. Come on, try to use your head at least a little bit, yeah. Well, but still, in general, maybe he was even paid for the interview. We continue to spread the word, to bring the truth to the masses. And here another character appears before us, wearing a jacket the color of baby cream. Tenderness. The little tuft of hair says a lot. And this character surprisingly also doesn't look at all like a Terminator who just returned from the battlefield, cutting paths through the bodies of enemies, He also surprisingly talks about draft dodgers. But now this doesn't even surprise me anymore, it just amazes me. How is it that they can't grasp two simple things in their heads? You all are basically talking about yourselves. And as soon as some guy or woman starts talking there, with an indeterminate appearance, with obvious oratory, abilities, talking about how draft dodgers should be punished, but you're digging your own grave.
Then you need to put a stop to it in the sense that those who consciously evade military service, consciously take care of the army, should be deprived of political rights, must be deprived.
Who needs your political rights? Go run around with your voting, choose each other, and everything will be fine in your life.
While they sit in the comfort of their own homes, their accounts should be blocked. They should understand that their decision to stay at home and not go out has consequences, because right now there are no consequences. Well, you hid at home for the whole war.
The war ended, you came out, there are consequences. The country is in a place that, as I said in the previous video, usually only medical professionals have access to. And these very consequences are not because someone is hiding in an apartment and not coming out, but because you, without any education or real work experience, came to power. That's the real problem, not the fact that someone is just sitting at home somewhere.
And paid the fine, and that's it. That's all. That's it. They're just waiting for this moment. Is that fair? In my view, no.
Well, no, of course not. And who else can put on a striped tie and go on air during another TV marathon to say that everyone should be punished? What good does this person actually do? Sorry, but this creature, there's a good word for it in Ukrainian, let's just call it a creature. What good does it do besides going to the hairdresser to get its bangs done? None at all. That's not an economic benefit, it's the opposite. It pays just a few kopecks in taxes, but collects much more in salary taxes than it pays. It's a lot. No one would call it little, yet it tells others how to live. They've completely forgotten that they're supposed to be managers, true servants of the people who are supposed to work for the people. The people pay them, and yet they start telling the people what to do. Who do they think they are anyway? Alright, and here we have another treat, yet another so-called servant of the people, this character, Shmaihal. Shmaihal is talking about how 80% of the power generation has been destroyed. But who brought the country to this point? You had this wonderful Mustafa Nayem, the organizer of that very Maidan of Pride, or whatever you want to call it. Someone's resilience, someone's strength, someone's lustfulness, call it whatever you like. He was the one who organized all this, then was put in charge of protecting energy resources, and as a result, 80% of the power generation has been destroyed. Of course, there were bombings and all that, but it should have been finished. It should have been protected. Where is the money that was meant for protection and was sent for that purpose? Meanwhile, the brother of Mustafa Nayem bought himself a Mercedes for $180,000. Not for 80, but for $180,000 he bought himself a Mercedes. Just imagine how many different kinds of protective coverings could have been made with that money. And I found a video, by the way, an archival one, where this very Mustafa Nayem, who by the way was fired, talks about how well they supposedly protect energy resources.
The first level of protection, focused on shielding from shrapnel, surrounds the substation. These used to be sandbags, but now they're gabions.
The main thing is to show off your knowledge of these terms, which are completely useless anywhere else. I mean, there isn't even a sandbag in these, and sandbags are just bags filled with sand, by the way. Mustafa Naim showed off his knowledge of English. I don't know why you need to call a bag of sand a sandbag. It's like when you come in and say, "Mom, please give me some soup with those meatballs." And she's like, "Son, do you want me to hit you in the face with a spoon?" And you're like, okay, just give me some little meatballs. Mom, calm down.
The simplest thing in construction is a structure several meters long, up to 10 or 12 meters, that protects the transformer from shrapnel.
But I would like to ask my viewers, Juan and I are curious, has anyone seen these 10 to 12 meter structures around the generator? If anyone has seen them anywhere, please write and let us know that they really exist. Because as I understand it, just like the satellite of Prytula successfully flew off to unknown distances, these sandbags with these 12-meter protective things are supposedly standing somewhere in banks in neat rows.
The next level of protection involves building these concrete structures.
Structures. Oh, concrete, my God, if only he knew English, or rather Ukrainian, well, never mind.
And it protects against a direct hit. And there's a third level that protects against missiles. These are very expensive structures. They cost a lot of money.
That's wonderful. You could buy so many beautiful, shiny Mercedes cars with great engines for that money. They go vroom. No structure, I guarantee you, can do that. Not even a protective one.
They take quite a long time to build because for some of these structures you have to pour concrete 40 meters underground.
Anyone who has seen these, I'll show you as usual. All those structures are still there. Planes are flying, we're going to bomb because the structures are there, and nobody is bombing anyone in those regions. Everything is fine. Buva.
You know, at some sites there are tens of thousands of piles driven into sites covering several hectares to build such a substation. But this will allow us to protect ourselves from self-disconnection.
So what? Did it protect? How's the protection? How is everything there? What are they saying here? 80% of the generation has been destroyed. That's probably because the bombs are too big and these structures didn't go 40 meters underground. Apparently it's a problem with the design features. They didn't account for all these explosive capabilities, the power of the bombs. Well, yeah, that's it. What did Shmihal say again? This winter, Russia will target water instead of electricity and heat. And that's the main difference from last heating season. And Putin wants to finish off our energy system, undermine the economy, and disrupt weapons production. He also expects that over the winter, society will break from exhaustion and force the leadership to sign a surrender. Well, in short, it turns out that our society is supposedly breaking from exhaustion, and this lot is supposed to sign it. Well, it also seems kind of strange. Everyone is already so tired. Go around with a newspaper with a sheet so people can put check marks next to the answers where it says, yes, we want the war to end. People are no longer interested in how this war will end. Even if you sign something on Mars, just sign it already and stop the shelling. People are primarily concerned about their own safety and their future, both theirs and their children's. As for everything else, well, never mind. What else? Tell us about this powerful leader. Ukraine is responding with a long-range campaign. This joke has gotten so old with their deep strikes, long-range sanctions against the Russians. Look, Zelensky just has a script. No one writes his speeches anymore. Different people used to write them before, but now apparently it's the same person every time. So it ends up being the same repetition of terms. 40% of primary refining has been knocked out, and there's a growing fuel shortage in the regions of Russia. How are these things connected? What's going on? Then he talks about boxing, where everyone hopes the opponent will fall first, but the scale of losses is huge. Until 2014, Ukraine produced 54.5 gigawatts of energy. After the war, it's 32 gigawatts. And now it has dropped to 12 gigawatts with a deficit of 6 gigawatts, which is why the country has rolling blackouts. Well, what can I say? Hello to Nemu, yes, for his powerful defense. Wonderful, just great job. The Russians destroyed or damaged over 80 Ukrainian power generation facilities. Now, to get through the winter, Ukraine needs interceptors for Patriot systems against Russian ballistic missiles. But nothing will help you anymore, my God, these so-called powerful leaders. First they needed one thing, then they needed those Fantomas or Phantoms or whatever those unfortunate F-16s were called. Then it was Leopards with Abrams or whatever they were called. Then Javelins. And every time they begged for something, got it, and then went silent. They're nowhere to be found. Where are those Javelins? Where are those F-16s? Recently I heard that one was shot down. What are they even doing? What good are they? They keep begging for Patriots non-stop. They didn't grant production rights, so now what? Without the Patriot, there's no protection. So Russia sends drones, and you have to launch a Patriot, which costs $30 million at a tiny drone. Is that how it works? Maybe. Well, you had those interceptor drones there that catch them at lightning speed. Or other drones, in the air. Some kind of flamingos were flying around, I think. Sometimes they're flying, then 1,000 are sent, but it turns out they're just being tested. Now, it turns out that this guy, what's his name, Danilov, who took the last name Schmilleman, well, anyway, this head of Fairpoint was saying that, well, we kind of caught the second flamingo on video, but it's not certain yet. You've been claiming for a year that all your warehouses are full of flamingos. All they do is chirp there, those flamingos. All right, flamingos, the key is that we've got those points of invincibility. Let's keep reading what they told us. They're building shelters for electrical, water, and gas facilities again, but you already built them. There, it's a 12-meter concrete structure, like that Afghan guy was saying, and 40 meters underground, everything is also encased in concrete in Ukraine. If not, then sorry, that video you showed is, I think, 2 years old. So where is it all? Well, that's a rhetorical question, obviously. Don't think that anyone is going to answer that. Our most reliable answer is the Ministry of Rhetorical Questions. That's Zoloty Ir, that's Molokny Creek. Obviously, these characters will only be held accountable later, after the war, somewhere, at least I hope so. So what? And in order to finally finish off the country, I mean to achieve a final victory, Zelensky announced the production of Western weapons in Ukraine. But the country will be bombed with terrible force because of your weapons. But some British people already tried to produce something there and it was bombed, so people will die, I mean Ukrainians. But of course they don't care. The president has laid out 3 priorities. Air defense, local production of Western weapons in Ukraine, whatever that means, and joint projects with American companies. Trump has already stated regarding joint projects with American companies that America has the right to come, arrive, or fly to Ukraine at any time and take whatever it wants. He literally said this just the other day. This is within the framework of that very valuable and brilliant agreement on dividing Ukraine's mineral resources with that same America. In return, what did Zelensky get? Well, a big fat nothing that I just don't even know. That's also quite something. That's just, I don't know how powerful that can be. They outpowered everyone. And in the end, basically, purges are starting too. Enemies of the people, apparently, there will be all sorts of troikas. The report is ready, countering Russian aggression. To find the enemy within the security service itself. Basically, now they're going to look for enemies everywhere. I read somewhere that all that's left is to establish a whole new service, a really big one. There are, of course, some things that are already being implemented. That's to eliminate the opponent. Like some kind of unit that will travel around the country and do exactly all of that. That's all that's left for Zelensky to do for the full effect. Otherwise, in general, everything is ready. It's all been done for a long time. Well, let's keep going. I've already shown a few of these heroes of our time. And I'll probably show a couple more. We have some specialists here. Well, one of them right now. Where is he? Well, for example, this is Osaikuk. I don't remember if I showed this or not. He's sitting in the chair almost like he's on a throne. Probably to be more comfortable. And he's telling us poor people how to live.
There is a search for some kind of miracle in the emotions. It's a protest, basically, against the unwillingness of many to join the military.
Among the protesters, there are so many draft dodges in one place, right in one video, I get lost. Even here, it's hard to count them all.
There are many who avoid military service, and they look for reasons
why they do it. Here's one sitting in a comfy chair. He's talking like he's on a throne. Well,
that's how they avoid it. And mostly, they're looking for some miraculous way out. Like, let's have drones do the fighting. Well, that's absolutely impossible. That's why we need to send Sachuk to the front and let him run there in protective gear with grenades on his belt with a rifle in his hand defending the motherland. After that, the Russians will be gathering more people for their troops, and we need to somehow respond to that.
Us. We need to see. Who is we? What's going on? Why, do these little deputies always identify themselves with society? Honestly, I don't know. Us.
to see, likely not through marches or dialogue, but through actual implementation and strengthening of society around it.
Well, I see. Well, that's how it is. Goodbye, everyone.
Kurigi is our engineering commander, a real prodigy. She's 21 years old. And this aromatic Rhea almost
caused a disaster. We literally saw each other recently, and now you don't know when you'll be able to come again. It's a bit hard. We were mentally prepared for this. I like it. The window is about to break. The window is burning. We learned to set up fortifications, build roads and bridges, and lay out pontoon bridge crossings. The kids have good attitudes and are obedient. You can gain new skills.